நம்முடைய தமிழ் மொழி உலகிலேயே மிகவும் தொன்மையான மொழி. எந்த தேசத்திடம் இருக்கின்றதோ அந்த தேசத்திடம் பெருமிதம் பொங்க வேண்டுமா கூடாதா சொல்லுங்க.
செம்மொழி வலையொலி யூடியூப் சேனல். இந்த சேனலின் மூலமாக, அந்த வலையொலியின் மூலமாக பல்வேறு தகவல்களை தினந்தோறும் நாங்கள் வழங்கி கொண்டிருக்கக்கூடிய அந்த நிலையில் சிலப்பதிகாரம் என்ற தலைப்பில் ஒவ்வொரு பகுதியாக வழங்கக்கூடிய அந்த தொகுப்பை முழுமையாக கண்டு பார்க்கலாம்.
Tolkappiyam, the incomparable grammatical treatise in Tamil, devotes a full-length chapter to the theory of comparison in addition to a chapter on poetics, stating that explicit comparison belongs to world usage and implicit metaphor belongs to poetic usage. Tolkappiyam contends that all comparisons, whether explicit or implicit, involve terms of comparison which may refer to shape, color, action or result. In the Puram poem 82, the comparison between king and cobbler is based on action. சாறுதலை கொண்டு என பெண்ணீற்று உற்று என பட்டமாரி ஞான்ற ஞாயிற்று கட்டில் நினைக்கும் இழிசினன் கையது போல் தூண்டு ஊசியின் விரைந்தன்று மாதோ ஊர்கொள வந்த பொருணனொடு தார்புனை தெரியல் நெடுந்தகை போரே. This when the festival hour close at hand, his woman, his wife in labor, a sun setting behind pouring rains, the needle in the cobbler's hand is in a frenzy, stitching thongs for a cot. Swifter, far swifter were the tackles for our Lord, wearing garlands of laburnum, as he wrestled with the enemy, come all the way to take the land. The points of comparison are color and shape in the following piece. பூழ்கால் அன்ன செங்கால் உழுந்தின் ஊழ்படு முதுகாய் உழையினம் கவரும் அரும்பணி அச்சிரம் தீர்க்கும் மருந்து பிரிதில்லை அவர் மணந்த மார்பே. This is from Kurundogai. The bare root of the bean is pink like the leg of a jungle hen, and herds of deer attack its overripe pods. The points of comparison include touch and taste in many similes, including the following from Ainguru Nuru. Sweeter than milk mixed with honey from our gardens is the leftover water in his land. Action and result are present in the description of bees making honey from the குறிஞ்சி flowers. நிலத்தினும் பெரிதே வானினும் உயர்ந்தன்று நீரினும் ஆரளவின்றே சாரல் கருங்கோல் குறிஞ்சிப்பூ கொண்டு பெருந்தேன் இழைக்கும் நாடனோடு நட்பே. Bigger than earth, certainly, higher than the sky, more unfathomable than the waters is this love for this man of the mountain slopes, where bees make rich honey from the flowers of the குறிஞ்சி that has such black stalks. As a result of the age-old poetic tradition, Tamil has become a supple poetic medium and developed a number of comparison markers, even 1/10 of which are not to be found in any classical or modern language. Tolkappiyam's Uvamaiyal lists 36 comparison markers like Anna, Pola, Oppa, Puraya, but the Nurpa ends with the statement that there are others like these. The learned commentator Perasiriyar adds 30 more comparison markers, providing illustrative examples and adds that there are more besides these. It is evident that even during the time of the third Sangam, there must have been at least 80 comparison markers, uvama urubugal, profusely used in poems of that period. What is more astonishing is that the context in which each of them could be used are said to be varied. In a language like English, which now has an incredible vocabulary of 5 lakh words, there are only a handful of comparison markers, including like, as, seem, appear and resemble. Tolkappiyam speaks of 2 more devices which also involve direct or indirect comparisons. It gives us cryptic accounts of what are called Iraichi and Ullurai. These are not included in the catalogue of 34 properties of the poem mentioned in Seiyuliyal. 3 aphorisms, 3 nurpas or aphorisms on Iraichi are found in Poruliyal and 3 more references to it in Karpiyal and Payariyal. Iraichi is associated with Uri. Some meaning is born of Iraichi too. That will be comprehensible to those well versed in Agam convention. Incidents of love will be alluded to in Iraichi in order to console the lovers pining in separation. Iraichi denotes the flora and fauna of a landscape as used in scenes depicting the love of birds and animals in order to intensify the affections felt by human characters. Iraichi abounds in Sangam poems. The following piece by Odalandayar is from Aingurunuru. They have come, crossing even the hot forking desert paths where the sharp-toothed red dog of the jungle waits by the cactus clump to kill a wild pig for his mate. No suffering pangs of labor, all the way they have come with you, O heart, the gentle ways of the woman you love. This is from Aingurunuru. The hero tells his heart that the sterling character of the lady it loves has come all the way to the wilderness in which the red dog, in order to feed his pregnant mate, is on the lookout for a wild pig. Separated from his sweetheart, the lover describes his agony, and the setting chosen is in accordance with the feeling expressed. The Palai region, a wasteland parched by summer, being the place, the cactus plant and animals like red dog and wild pig found in such regions constitute the Karuppurul. Here the Karuppurul has no hidden meaning, though it serves well to express the pangs of separation intensely felt by the protagonist. The best kind of Iraichi is the one which induces by its sensuous appeals feelings of love and affection for one's mate and assumes a connotative dimension. One heroine of the Mullai region complains that her husband hasn't returned at the appointed time. Avaro varar Mullayum Puttana Pariyudai Kayyar Mariyinathozhiya Palodu Vandu Koododu Payarum Aadudai Edaimagan Senni Chudiyavellam Siru Pasu Mugaye. He hasn't come. Jasmines have also bloomed. Those holding sheep hooks in their hands, having left the sheep, the shepherd lad coming with milk and going with food, has his head adorned all with jasmine buds. For Mullai Thinai, the appropriate theme is separation or patience, the characteristic flower jasmine, and the landscape forest or pasture. References to shepherds, sheep and cows are of course indispensable. The appeal in the poem is to the sense of smell, its arousal by passionate feelings in the pining heroine is obvious. Tollapiyar describes Ullurai again cryptically in 3 different places in Poruladhigaram. He points out the difference between Ullurai Uvamai and the other Uvamai, Yenai Uvamai, in Agathinai Iyal. These are his definitions. Ullurai Uvamai, that is implied simile, and Yenai Uvamai, that is the other simile, are inescapable in identifying the Thinai. Those who know the grammar of poetry say that Ullurai will have all the elements of the particular Thinai except the deity. The implied sense which has been designed to correspond exactly to Ullurai Uvamai is to be inferred from it. The other simile is self-explanatory. In Uvamaiyal also, Tollapiyar speaks of the 2 types of similes. He says, since the correspondence in the Ullurai Uvamai is not made explicit, but is used by the poet in accordance with the ancient tradition, its real implication can be inferred by those well versed in the art of interpretation. Another definition, Uvamappoli is of 5 kinds. If the excellence of Ullurai Uvamai is sought, it is to be found in the terms of comparison that refer to action, result, shape, color and birth. Poruliyal has 5 more aphorisms that indicate the 5 types of Ullurai. These are the definitions. The mediators between lovers express their views explicitly. Their utterances will have no hidden meaning. Ullurai, a traditionally polite mode of expression, is of 5 kinds: Udanurai, Ullurai Uvamam, Suttu, Nagai and Sirappu. Besides conveying a hidden meaning, Ullurai causes immense delight. Ullurai may consist in propitious utterances, words of abuse or contemptuous references to the hero's valor. Anger, ignorance, jealousy and poverty may go along with Sirappu. A.K. Ramanujan's inferences from these definitions are quite illuminating and insightful. Calling Ullurais insects, he attempts a description of their unique nature and function. This is his interpretation of what is called Ullurai. An insect, he says, is a correlation of the landscapes and their contents, that is Karupporul, to the human scene, that is Uriporul. Unlike metaphor in ordinary language, an insect is a structural feature within the poem. It integrates the different elements of the poem and shapes its message. Unlike metaphor and simile, it often leaves out all the elements of comparison and all explicit markers of comparison. Such an omission increases manifold the power of the figure. The insect is essentially a metonymy, an in presentia relationship where both terms are present, where the signifier and the signified belong to the same universe, share the same landscape. Both are parts of one scene. Such a metonymy, rather than metaphor, is the favorite poetic figure of the classical Tamils. Adapting a remark of Kenneth Burke's in another context, Ramanujan adds about Ullurai. There is implicit in the quality of a scene, the quality of the action implicit in it. One could deduce the details of the action from the details of the setting. This kind of metonymous metaphor based on an entire formal scheme is a special feature of classical Tamil forms. In Ullurai Uvamam, the native elements karu are carefully chosen to constitute a complex and elaborate simile. In an Ayangurunuru poem, a lady complains that her lover's cruel ways without explicitly stating the wrong he has done to her. In the fields of his land, she says, fakes flower like real canes, shy of proclaiming his cruelty. I say he is good, but my tender shoulders say by weakening he is no good. It is in the Ullurai Uvamam that the hero's heinous deed is hinted at. If in his field fake sugar canes flower like real ones and both are treated alike, he in his heart has given equal place to his sweetheart and his concubines. Ullurai Uvamais are marked by this kind of one-to-one correspondence. In Kurundagai, we come across more elaborately worked out similes of this nature. Onreen allan ondruvan kunrattu porugaliru miditha neridal vengai kuravar magalir கூந்தல் மெய்மார் நின்று கொய மலரும் நாடனோடு ஒன்றேன் தோழி ஒன்றானே. I don't disagree with him, I do agree with him. In the hill of his land, from the vengai tree, uprooted by an elephant, gypsies on their feet pick its flowers to adorn their heads. I don't disagree with him, excepting in one matter. That is what the heroine says. This one matter is to be inferred from the inset from the Ullurai, which serves as a simile. The native elements brought in here are those of Kurinjithinai. The vengai tree, thrown down by the thoughtless elephant, continues to blossom, and its branches are easily reached by the girls. The lady whose grievance is voiced in the poem has had physical union with the hero, who is now unaware of the harm done to her because he has been delaying the wedding. She has become an easy victim of public slander. In what is called Suttu Ullurai, one thing is pointed at to yield a hidden sense. Perungadal Muhanda Irungalai Konmu Irundu Uyar Visimbin Valanervu Valai Porpuru Murasin Irangi Murai Purindu Araneri Puraya Tiranari Mannar Arunjamathu Edirnda Perumsai Adavar Kazhitharu Valin Nalippana Vilangum Minnudai Karviyai Agi Naalum Konne Seidiyo Arava Ponnana Malanda Vengai Malisodar Adaichi Polinda Ayamudu Kandaga Iyali Tadalai Vangiyum Tattai Voppiyum Adaler Sayalai Andarai Asayim Kuramagal Kakkum Yenal Puramum Tarudiyo Valiya Malaye. She says, hail thee, O cloud, would you scoop water from the sea, bend the dark vaulting sky, thunder like a war drum, and glitter like the sword unsheathed in a fight against foes formidable, by kings just and competent, only to end in sound and fury? Or would you save by rain the millet field guarded by the gypsy girl, moving gaily with her friends, wearing vengai flowers, densely lined with fire-like sayalai leaves, scaring parrots by sound and stone? The heroine's girlfriend asks the cloud if it is going to thunder in vain or will save the millet crop by raining. The message is in fact meant for the hero, who is expected to say whether the slander caused by his frequent visits will be allowed to continue, or whether he will put an end to it by marrying the lady. Though ostensibly an apostrophe to the cloud, it is actually addressed to the hero and hence falls within the category of Suttu Ullurai. Discussing the Dhwani theory of Sanskrit poetry, George Hart observes, one naturally wonders whether this technique, that is Dhwani, could have been influenced in some way by the poetry of South India, in which it is found several centuries before its appearance in Sanskrit and Prakrit literatures. On close examination, Iraichi may be found to be more akin to Dhwani than Ullurai, the one vital difference between the Tamil and Sanskrit concept being that Dhwani may not depend on similes or metaphors. Iraichi is more broad-based than Ullurai, and for both, Karupporul serves as the basic material. In Ullurai, there is a one-to-one correspondence between the Karupporul items and what they stand for in the implied meaning of the poem, whereas Iraichi does not demand this kind of correspondence. Iraichi is confined to Agam poetry, and in Anandavardhana's view, the erotic sentiment is intrinsic to Dhwani. Most of the examples that Anandavardhana gives to illustrate the different types of Dhwani are poems that treat love and lovers' moods and emotions. When he says that Dhwani may be understood and appreciated only by mature readers, when he speaks of love in union and love in separation, and when he discusses in detail the question of decorum and propriety in erotic poetry, one cannot help concluding that Anandavardhana must have been familiar with and inspired by the Tamil concepts of Iraichi and Ullurai. The Sangam writings are a vast storehouse of diverse similes, that is, different kinds of similes, simple similes common to Tamil poetic tradition, recurring similes that drive home a particular point, recurring similes that are associated with particular characters, negative similes that stress unlikeness rather than likeness, mythological similes, similes from real life situations, similes in which concrete objects are compared to abstract notions, similes using theological and philosophical concepts, similes that stop at A is like B, similes that develop A or B beyond the point of comparison, similes that indicate A is like B in one respect, similes that imply A is like B in some or all respects, even the Homeric long-drawn similes and the Miltonic complex similes serving the functions of aggrandizement and prolepsis are not wanting, as evidenced in the following poems from Paditru Pattu. These are the similes that we come across in Paditru Pattu, which are very much like the Miltonic and Homeric long-drawn similes. பகல் நீடாகாது இரவு பொழுது பெருகி மாசி நின்ற மாகூர் திங்கள் பனிச்சுரம் படரும் பான்மகன் உவப்ப புல்லிருள் விடிய புலம்புசேன் அகல பாயிருள் நீங்க பல்கதிர் பரப்பி ஞாயிறு குணமுதல் தோன்றியாங்கு. Here a king is compared to the sun in a long drawn simile, describing how the sun by shining ends the miseries of animals and wandering bards. தோல் மிசைத்து எழுதரும் விரிந்து இலங்கு எஃகின் தார் புரிந்தன்ன வாழுடை விழவின் போர்படு மன்னர் போந்தொடு தொடுத்த கடவுள் வாகை துய்வி ஏய்ப்ப பூத்த முல்லை புதல் சூழ் பறவை கடத்திடை பிடவின் தொடைக்குலை சேக்கும் வான் பளிங்கு விரைய செம்பரல் முரம்பின் இலங்குகதிர் திருமணி பெறும் அகன்கண் வைப்பின் நாடு கிழவோனே. This also from பதிற்று 10. There is a detailed account of the garlands worn by the soldiers to which the swords swung by them are compared. வான்முகம் பொறித்த மான்வாரி யாக்கையர் தெரிபடு மறுப்பின் இருங்கண் மூரியொடு வளைதலை மாத்த தாழ்கரும் பாசவர் எஃகு ஆகு ஊனம் கடுப்ப மெய் சிதைந்து சாந்து எழில் மறைத்த சான்றோர் பெருமகன். The wounded chests of the soldiers are compared to the wooden boards on which meat is cut by the sellers who use steel knives on the body of big-eyed, wide-horned bulls and other animals with bent necks. In another poem of பதிற்று 10, the beauty of a queen is compared to the beauty of a city. The poet wishes the king a long life in a unique manner. செழும்பல இருந்த கொழும்பல் தன்பனை காவிரி படப்பை நல்நாடு அன்ன வளம்கழு குடைச்சூல் அடங்கிய கொள்கை ஆரிய கற்பின் தேரிய நல்லிசை வண்டார் கூந்தல் ஒன்தொடி கணவ நின்னாள் திங்களனைய ஆக திங்கள் யாண்டு ஓரணைய ஆக ஆண்டே ஊழி அணைய ஆக ஊழி வெள்ளவரம்பின ஆக என உள்ளி காண்கு வந்திசின் யானே. He says, you are the husband, he tells the king, you are the husband of a bright bangled lady who resembles the fertile flourishing Chola country with the Kaveri river and the cool fields. May each day of your life last like a month. May each month last like a year. May each year last like an eon. May each eon last like the countless Vellam. Needless to add, these similes are much better than the ones used by Homer and Milton. Thank you.